All right, let's jump right in. We've all heard that one piece of business advice. You know, the one. It gets repeated over and over. But what if that common wisdom is actually holding you back? Today, we're going to talk about why you should stop trying to scale and maybe, just maybe, start stacking instead.
You need to scale. I mean, you've heard it everywhere, right? At conferences, at meetings, from pretty much every online guru. It's this constant drumbeat, this big, shiny goal that everyone tells you to chase.
But hang on a second. Let's be real. Have you ever actually stopped to ask what scaling even means? For most of us, it's just this fuzzy, abstract idea. It feels more like a vague wish than a real, concrete strategy. And that's exactly where the problem starts. That lack of clarity creates what we're calling the scaling trap. It's this thing we all fall into because, well, it sounds so good, but there's often no real substance behind it. You know, the source material for this has a perfect analogy. It calls the advice to scale the junk food of business strategy. And that's brilliant, isn't it? It tastes good. It feels satisfying to say, but when it comes down to it, it's just empty calories. There's nothing there to actually nourish your business.
And this slide just nails the disconnect. The dream, that's universal. We all want to make more money and not completely burn ourselves out doing it. But the strategy that scaling usually gives us, it's just flawed. It's always just do more, add more leads, make more calls.
So here's the bottom line. The whole scaling mindset is basically one-dimensional. It sees growth as this straight line where the only thing that matters is volume. It's a pure numbers game. And that kind of thinking, it almost always spreads you way too thin.
Okay, so if scaling is the trap, what's the escape hatch? Well, there's a much smarter way to think about growth. It's called stacking. Stacking is all about going for depth instead of just width. It's really the art of making a single action accomplish like 5 or 6 different things at once. It's about getting the most leverage out of everything you do. So you're not just doing more, you're making what you do count for more. This comparison really gets to the heart of it. Scaling is all about volume, and that just spreads you thinner and thinner. But stacking, that focuses on depth. It's about building density and real strength in your business. You end up creating something that's solid, sustainable, not just bigger. All right, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But what does stacking actually look like in the real world? Let's break down how this actually works step by step. Okay, so the biggest mistake, and I think we're all guilty of this, is treating our work like a chaotic, endless to-do list. We've got all these separate buckets, right? Prospecting over here, social media over there, client gifts in another, and we feel this pressure to constantly be adding a little water to each bucket every single day. And this is what that looks like. In the morning, you're doing cold calls. In the afternoon, you're trying to come up with a post for Instagram. In the evening, you're dropping off a gift. See? Every single task is totally separate, totally isolated. It's completely exhausting, and honestly, it's just not efficient. In this quote, this is the core idea of stacking. Stop trying to be a professional juggler, frantically trying to keep all these different balls in the air. Instead, your goal is to find one rock, one single action, that you can throw into the pond to create 5 or 6 different ripples. So for example, instead of those 3 separate tasks, what if you hosted a free workshop for first-time home buyers at a local coffee shop? That's one action, one rock. But think about the ripples. You're getting direct leads. You can record it for social media content. You're building relationships with everyone there. One single action, multiple powerful effects. Here's another way to visualize it that I really love. Think of each of those ripples, the leads, the content, the relationships, as a transparent sheet with just a little bit of an image on it. By itself, it doesn't look like much. But when you start stacking them, layering them one on top of another, a full, rich picture suddenly emerges. That is the power of stacking. All right, let's get practical. How do you actually start doing this? Let's turn this whole concept into a simple, concrete plan you can actually use.
And this is such an important point. The word scale is a buzzword. It's so big and overwhelming that it just leads to paralysis. You don't know where to start. But stacking is different. It's a blueprint, a framework you can literally start using tomorrow.
And it really just comes down to 2 simple things. First, audit your calendar. Get brutally honest with yourself about where your time and energy are actually going. And second, grade your campaigns. Before you do anything new, just give it a score. Ask yourself, how many different layers does this one action hit? The higher the score, the more leverage you have. Simple as that. So,
This is the big mindset shift we're talking about. Stop trying to make your business bigger. Instead, focus on making it stronger. Build something more resilient, more dense, more impactful, simply by making every single thing you do count for more.
And that leaves us with one final question to think about. When you look at your own business, your own goals, what's the one rock, the one single high-leverage action you could throw tomorrow that would create the most ripples?